All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this, good evening. Welcome to the Lake Worth Beach regular city commission meeting of Tuesday, February 24th, 2026. May we have the roll call, please?
Mayor Betty Resch.
Here.
Vice Mayor Sarah Maliga.
Present.
Commissioner Christopher McVoy.
Here.
Commissioner Mimi May.
Present.
Commissioner Anthony Segrich.
Present.
Thank you very much. The invocation will be led by Commissioner Segrich, and Vice Mayor Malega will lead the pledge. We did that again.
We do. We always do that.
We'd just like us to take a moment of silence and reflect upon some of the divisiveness that's been going on our national stage, and trying not to let that enter into our interactions here as neighbors. While we might not always agree on things, we need to remember that we are all still neighbors here, and we all love our city, and we're all trying to do what's best for our city, whether we agree or not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And justice for Jesus.
Please. Okey doke. Are there any additions, deletions, or reordering?
I have one, Madam Mayor.
Madam Clerk?
New business, item J, ordinance 2026-02, amending chapter 23, the land development regulations to establish a new section within those regulations to allow murals and sculptures to be attached to structures was deleted and added to the agenda for the 17th.
Oh, we're taking off J?
We're taking off J, and it's going to be on March 17th.
Oh, okay.
Move to approve as amended.
Mr. McCoy, your lights on?
It is. I guess this is a request for an addition, and it is in that I had a request from my fellow colleagues here to prepare an agenda so that we could do a special meeting related to immigration enforcement in our city. I did that. I think I sent that maybe a week ago now or so. And I was looking for whatever we need to do, whether we needed to add it as a discussion item to discuss when we're going to add this, or if we simply can have consensus to give direction to our city staff to proceed as we had planned. So I'm looking, I don't know, it could be we add it as a discussion item, or we simply provide that direction.
Well, is there consent? I guess the bottom line is, is there consensus to have the special meeting? I see lights going on. Let's discuss it right now for a second. Mr. Segrich?
I would not consent to the agenda as written, considering it's asking the city to do things that violate the law. I would be okay with having a discussion on the agenda for further clarification, but definitely not having a meeting that asks the city to do things that violate state and federal law.
Ms. May?
I would remember when we were at the pre-agenda meeting, I think we said that we were going to give the letter or the agenda item that you gave us, Mr. McVoy, to legal to go through that first before we set that. That's what I remember.
And any other comment? If
I
might,
wasn't here. I listened, but I didn't really. Have you done that?
Well, no, I mean, I think staff did it.
Wanted to give it to legal, but if staff wants to do that, or if you want to direct, that's fine. Remember that I wrote on it very clearly. This is a draft agenda. I was asked to come up with a draft. However you want to, these are all the things were suggestions that we could discuss. None of it is, hey, we are going to do this moving forward as a city. The idea was to have a special meeting to discuss options, and presumably as wide a range as possible. And you can, if you want opinions from legal beforehand, that's fine. I think there's probably gray area in what is happening nationally, what is legal and what is not, what the courts are fine shutting down. So however you want to do it, but the question is, how do you want to proceed to setting up a date for that special meeting?
If we want.
Sorry, I also thought that we had discussed a community group was willing to host that meeting. And it wouldn't be
No,
a
this
city
needs
meeting.
to be a meeting. We've been asked repeatedly by many people in the community, would the commission host a meeting, not some other group? The commission are the leaders, the community leaders. What are we going to do?
Well, I mean, I skimmed over it. I was probably in somewhere in Ocala or something, but I mean, I briefly read over it. I have to look at it, at your agenda again. I mean, I do agree with some of the things that Mr. Segwich is saying. And also, I have to say, I mean, some of the things that are being asked for just are not available. And you know what? You know, yes, a small number of people have come repeatedly to city commission meetings to demand this and accusing us of not being leaders if we don't do this. And I just spoke with a friend of mine who's a county commissioner in St. Paul, Minnesota, which is Ramsey County. And, you know, they had one of those meetings and they got yelled at for 3 hours. It's like, which is essentially what happens when, you know, I wonder if there's a possibility of having a conversation rather than what has been happening here, which is an accusatory, do this or else, because I don't have the time for that. We can't do very much as a city. We've made that very clear. So I almost feel like having a meeting I don't know what the purpose of having a meeting under the way it's been presented to us. It doesn't sound like a conversation. It sounds like you better do something or you're a racist or you're white privilege or you're racist or you are willfully ignorant. We all know what's going on and nobody likes it. But what we can do officially as a city is so limited. So I just don't know where to go with that. Ms. Malega?
I do support having a conversation on it. I think that when the three of us went to FHP's headquarters, we got some insight that maybe we should be shared with the public. I do think that and I will support having the meeting, having the conversation. I would like legal to opine on the language that's in there and some of the things on the legality of them, so we don't put the rest of the city at risk. But I do think it's a conversation that we do need to partner with a third party, community partner who has offered to host it. And it doesn't have to be here at City Hall, but I want to have the conversation with the residents in an open forum and not put a target on the city's back.
I totally agree with that. Mr. Segwich?
I would be okay with discussing the particular agenda today. I'm prepared. I've reviewed it and spent my time with it. In terms of hosting an open community meeting, that wasn't what Mr. McVoy's request was. And, you know, there's nothing stopping any of us from having an open community meeting. I'm having one tomorrow. So and we wouldn't be able to have the whole commission at an open community meeting anyway. So
Well, it could be
I'm
noticed.
prepared to
It could be
discuss.
noticed. It could be
It
noticed.
could be noticed, but you know, I'm prepared to discuss Mr. McVoy's agenda, which was what was asked and provided. If the rest of my colleagues are not, then we do need to discuss his agenda because he put
Sure.
the time in. It deserves to be discussed. I would rather do it today for him because he's been waiting some time. But if we're not prepared, we're not prepared.
How, next Tuesday, when we have our next city commission meeting, that's a really light agenda, isn't it? Oh, no, I just saw an agenda that was so light.
There,
We do have 2 meetings that day, Madam Mayor.
Well, we have the
will
special-
Yeah, you have a special meeting following the regular meeting.
Right,
And we have a shade session before it. So we have
Correct.
3 meetings.
3 meetings.
right. But the actual, yeah, okay. Oh, the
Can I
commission,
just ask
Sure.
legal, Elizabeth, have you received a copy of this and have you gone over it? Because I don't really want to discuss it if you haven't, and I'm not saying you have to have had it done.
I believe I have a copy of it. I have not had a chance to review it.
So I would not feel comfortable doing that this evening.
and I don't have it with me, so I really couldn't discuss it. So why don't we,
Can we set it for the March 17th?
yeah,
So for a time certain, then we all have time to get our questions asked.
absolutely.
Mr. McVoy knows that we're taking it seriously. The
Mhm.
community people who want to come out and hear and be part of it
That
can.
sounds perfect.
I'm going to be away, but I'm going to be on Zoom at that meeting.
Okay. Mr. Segwich, will you be here on the 17th? Let's make sure we have a quorum.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. McVoy?
oh yeah, I'll be
And
here.
Ms. Mulligan,
So
you'll
can
be-
you be clear with what we're doing on the 17th? I want to
Just-
be very clear what I'm agreeing to.
I'm saying a discussion on the 17th about the agenda.
So we're not,
Setting-
it's not the
It's not a
public
special
meeting,
meeting.
No,
special
correct.
meeting
It's to
on
have
the
a
17th.
conversation
It's
and
to
give
have a
our
discussion
Our feedback
about
with legal.
the feedback with legal, and then we can possibly have that during our one-on-ones
Mhm.
next week.
Sure.
Jamie?
That makes
Mr.
a
Segrich?
suggestion.
Sure.
Why don't we discuss it at the pre-agenda meeting? That way we have our time, legal can review it, we all can review it, get our questions answered. We can have the discussion at the pre-agenda meeting uninterrupted, pick one, particular to this agenda. And at that pre-agenda meeting, we'll make the decision what to put at a future meeting, if anything, based on that discussion. Yeah, because my fear is having discussion about the agenda is going to become the discussion for the public there, and then we're going to have the actual meeting, which is going to be the same discussion for the public.
So have it on
So-
have the agenda meeting on the 13th.
The
Pre-agenda meeting on the
pre-agenda
13th.
meeting, discuss it then, legal
Mhm.
can give us the feedback.
As an agenda item.
Right, yeah, and
On which day?
The 13th, Friday, the 13th.
Can you
That's
give me
out.
just a second? Because I think I have a conflict with that one with.
I think
the-
I do too. It's women's build. The
Mm.
12th and 13th.
Just to interject, we do have a pre-agenda on Friday, so
We have on this Friday, which I
correct,
think,
on the 27th. So I just wanted to clarify which date.
Yeah, I mean, our agenda is set, but we could still discuss it. but I have a 9:30 trial, a case management hearing at 9:30. That shouldn't take long, but it is at 9:30.
But I do agree with Mr. Segrich. When we
Yeah, let's talk about it.
put it on the agenda to discuss it, I do fear that it's going to be
Yeah.
people thinking that that is the meeting.
Right.
And that's not, I don't want people to come with expectations that we are not meeting.
Are you,
I'm trying to find, there's an
Well, we're waiting
MPO
for
thing
Mr.
and I'm trying to find when it is. I knew it conflicted with one of them, but I don't. Yes, March 13th. I have a conflict with that one.
what time does it start? Your meeting?
I would have to leave at 9 to get there.
It starts at 9.
Our agenda starts at 9. Your
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah. I
Well-
mean, I think the idea of putting it on a pre-agenda when I'm
Mhm.
supportive of that, I just happen to have a conflict on
Then the
that.
next one would be the 27th.
No,
And I guess it's not
won't?
realistic to do it for this Friday, which I don't have a conflict.
I have a conflict.
oh, the 27th. You're right. I'm sorry, Mayor.
March 20,
Commissioner
no.
Segrich is game, but
March 27th?
could we do that?
I don't know. Hold on a sec. Yeah, but I don't know that there's a meeting then because the next,
There is not a pre-agenda
Yeah, I
meeting
didn't think
on the
so.
27th.
There's a
thought I
meeting on,
just saw it.
we have a pre-agenda meeting on the 27th for the 31st.
we don't have a pre-agenda
On my
meeting for
full
every meeting
calendar.
anymore.
Yeah, we don't have a pre-agenda meeting for the last
Third
regular
meeting.
meeting, the third meeting, which would be the 31st.
My calendar says pre-agenda workshop for March 3rd meeting.
That's
Invitation
this
from,
week. That's this week.
Right.
You're in
You're
February.
the
Go to
wrong-
March. You're in
He has
February.
the one, he has a, oh God, we're wasting so
You're-
much time.
well, my question was, could we do it? That's in, today's Tuesday, in 4 days. Could we do it then?
Well, I have a 9:30 hearing I have to be at, so I don't know if we could, I mean, we could start with it and I just have to leave at
I
9:30.
mean, yeah, I'll be at school, but
But you,
I always do that.
Yeah, you've always-
Yeah, that's fine.
because it's first.
I would be inclined to say if we could do it this 27th, at least get the discussion started. I mean, as I said, I wrote the agenda as draft, trying to take the input from the community and various organizations that expressed an interest in, but it's draft. It doesn't mean that that's what we have to do at the special meeting.
Okay, well, if you want to have this, that's fine. I just have to leave at 9:30 and to go to a hearing. So it's a Zoom hearing, so I can do that. I just won't be, we'll start with that conversation, get as much as we can
Does
done
that
and
sound reasonable?
I'm fine with that. So
Okay.
add this to the pre-agenda meeting on Friday.
On this Friday.
Thank
Okay, that's fine.
All right, very good.
Cool, thank you. I
right,
appreciate it.
Motion to
Okay.
approve the amended
Ma-
agenda.
Madam Clerk,
Second.
did you say something?
No, I was just clarifying that we had consensus from everybody to have the discussion on the 27th.
No, you do.
No, Yes, this 27th.
Yeah.
Yes,
Not
sorry.
the-
February 27th.
February 27th.
Sorry. It's the.
No worries.
I have
Being
a-
28
all right,
days,
I
they're
have
all
a
the
motion.
same.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay. Whew. That was not as easy as it could have been. Utility updates, electric utility update by our own Mr. Liberty, Director of the Electric Utility.
Good evening, Mayor. For the record, Ed Liberty, Electric Utility Director. I'm going to try to be brief tonight. That's sometimes hard for me to do, but I'll give it a
I'm
try
okay.
anyway. First item up is, of course, talk about the cold spell that we had, and it seems to have come back again. And we believe it will decrease the iguana population. So if you are all for that, then be all for that.
Yes.
At the FMPA board meeting, which happened right after the cold spell, we did get a shout out together with others, but they very clearly wanted to say thank you to Lake Worth Beach for getting our units available and ready to go that Sunday evening. Thanks to the power plant staffs and folks from the water department that also came over to help, not to be left off the list. They had a big part of that, and we were able to get those units running. So having them available for Monday morning actually, helped turn things around by Monday morning, and we got through the spell with no big issues. And I understand the pool was actually able to make a power sale to some others that needed help. So that was good. The PCA, we do have a report for you tonight. We have Assistant Director Brian King is, I believe, here.
Yep.
He had,
Very elegant.
Very elegant.
yes, he is.
He looked
Stands
like
right out.
springtime.
There's some good things that came out of that. Our imbalance, if you will, in the PCA checking account got worse. And you say, well, why is that good? Well, it didn't get as bad as we thought it might. And we're still going through the numbers, so straightening things out. And if you remember, that bad cold spell came right at the end of January, and the worst of it came in the first 2 days of February. So we haven't seen the full bill for it yet. But just looking at the January numbers, it looks like we went backwards in terms of our stabilization fund balance by about just under $500,000. We were expecting a number which might have been arguably much higher than that. So why did it not come in so bad? One of the things which helped us was that FMPA and us worked out a concept. You remember me at the last meeting mentioning that there was a point at which it made sense for us to switch to oil instead of gas, because natural gas prices had gotten so high. FMPA did not think that was the right strategic move to make, and we agreed with them. They felt it was more important to hold on to that oil for the weekend, which could likely be even worse. So we did that, but in recognition of the fact that we did what was best for the entire pool and not just for us, they offered to make us whole for the difference between price and a difference in price between oil and gas through that period of time. So the January bills are an attempt to reflect that we burned gas instead of oil, which would have been cheaper for us. So it looks like they're making us whole for that. The next part of it, which will be good, which will show up in the February bill, was we didn't anticipate what could happen when the price of energy on the grid became so much higher than the price of solar. So some of you may remember that we bought so much solar energy under long-term contracts that there were months during the year when we would have more solar than we had a customer to sell it to. That's because we already had so many other wholesale power contracts that basically we would have oversubscribed to energy purchases. But we were okay with going long on solar because we felt that during the spring, summer, and fall months, we would use it all up. So the question is, well, what happens to that solar that we were long on during the month of February? Well, the decision in working with FMPA, we decided that they would pay us for that solar energy at the same rate that we would have paid them to buy energy under the contract. So the contract that we're buying wholesale power under will apply to our sale of solar energy to them when we don't need it. So that seemed like a pretty reasonable way to deal with the imbalances rather than storing them and redelivering it. There's no way to store it, just gets stored on a spreadsheet. So we think that's a more appropriate way to do it. We're talking about it with our consultants to make sure it makes sense in the long run. We want to make sure that the toast doesn't always fall jelly side down for one party or the other, that it's a fair balance. It appears to be a fair balance. If that holds up in our analysis, we will probably amend that wholesale power contract with FMPA, bring it back to you for an approval of the amendment, which I think is reasonable. So basically, in the months when we have more solar coming to us than we need because we can't fit any more in on our existing contracts, we will be paid for it at the same price we would have paid for energy under the
Incoming.
contract. So there may be some months where that works out for the better. And actually in the first 2 days of February, it's going to be good for us. Other times of the year, it may not be, but we'll see how that goes. It should balance out. So that's some good news there. We will continue to take a look at these numbers. We see that there's a couple of typos in this report. We'll clean that up, and then of course we'll publish it so that the public can see what you've seen as well. But looks like we're going backwards by about just under $500,000. One of the big challenges that we're going to have is our fuel tanks are now low. The oil tanks are low, and we're headed into summer season. We generally like to have those fairly full going into the summer season to be able to carry us for 2 to 3 days or more in the event that we had a complete interruption of electric deliveries to the city. That's highly unlikely because we have a dual tie line now, and the FPL transmission system is extremely robust and among the best in the country. So we're not as concerned about that, but it would be prudent to have some more fuel in the tanks than we currently have. So we'll be back to you on how to deal with that. Our growth, and this is a leading indicator that we use, what we call net to system, the amount of energy that we send out to our customers on a year-to-date basis is up a little over 3%, about 3.5%, 3.3%. Why is that insignificant when we talk about percentages? Well, we have 7.5% growth. So to the extent that we have more growth than we expected, recognize that the rates we set were built on a lower growth number. So if we achieve higher growth, that helps hold back on the level of the rate increases going forward, right? So it helps to have more growth in what we call base. The PCA flows through, so there's no plus or minus to us there. We pass that expense through. But when we collect more base revenues than we expected, it helps build fund balance, which is what we're trying to do. If you remember back to the Stantec slides, which you'll see again this summer during budget discussions, we're trying to achieve that 180-day number of working capital. And the faster we get there, the faster we can throttle back on rate increases in the future. So build that fund balance. And that's also what the rating agencies like, is healthy fund balances. So that's going the right direction. That I mentioned that I slip in the word key or a leading indicator, key performance indicator. So when we see energy coming into the system, it's metered. That's probably 45 to 60 days before it shows up as cash in the register, right? By the time the meters get read, the bills get paid, cash settles up. So we expect that additional revenue to be coming in the next 30 to 60 days. Monitoring the budget on a month-to-month basis. We don't look at the budget as a flat item month to month to month. We recognize that revenues and expenses follow a predetermined curve based on history. And relative to that curve, we're doing well. We're ahead of budget. So there's no budget concern at the moment that we see, and we seem to be doing okay. And those are unaudited numbers, of course, subject to financial audit. And we typically don't include things like that come in afterwards, like benefits or pensions and things like that, or interest benefit that we get from money in the bank. It's just what we see in a snapshot. Slightly bigger issue for us is the issue of Stanton 1. As you recall, we said that our interest in that project was retiring. So that's the coal unit owned by OUC. It's part of a FMPA project, and we've been members since the 1980s. Our interest in it, according to the negotiation, ended December 31, while FMPA and OUC continue to wrap up some details, transfer of inventory, liabilities. OUC has opted to keep the unit in as available for their purposes after December 31, which means that they would bear all of the expenses after December 31, not the other participants like us. So we're out. So then you say, well, why did you bring this up? One of the things that we have to resolve through FMPA are the reserves. So reserves are dollars that you hold in reserve to handle future expenses associated with the retirement of the unit. It could be dismantling the unit, scrapping it, or perhaps even environmental cleanup on the site. The site does have ash ponds. It's been an industrial site for a long time. It was an industrial site long before OUC built a power plant on it. So there are dollars held in reserve for those purposes. The difference is, though, that the FMPA participants like us have cash reserves there. So there's cash that's ours that's held in reserve on that project for some future use, which is appropriate. I'm not disputing that. However, what we're not fans of, and I'm going to say it publicly, is the fact that OUC does not have the equivalent cash reserves earmarked specifically for that asset. They're using their corporate guarantee, if you will, as I understand it, to say, well, we're good for it. But all of you other participants, you need to have cash. So we don't have to write a check right now because we've been basically writing that check since the 1980s. So that reserve amount is there. We think that we should be able to draw some of it down or be able to provide a corporate guarantee similar to OUC. Because OUC doesn't have cash tied up there in reserves. So that's an ongoing dispute as we work through the settlement process to extract ourselves from that unit. So I bring it up to you so that you're aware of it. You may see statements to that fact. I may take strong positions at FMPA board meetings as a board member with regards to OUC's position. I understand it, but I disagree with it. And I think we need to get some relief there and have what applies to us apply to them. And if those reserves can be reduced in any way, I'd like to see some of that come back to us.
Why would they hold on to reserves if they're closing the unit?
There are long-term liabilities. Very good question, by the long-term liabilities with respect to retirement of the unit. So, for example, we collectively, all the owners, put ash into those ponds for decades, 40 years, arguably. And if there's any potential environmental liability associated with that, the reserves are there to take care of that. At some point, when the plant is no longer used and useful, serves no longer a purpose, it basically needs to be removed from the surface of the earth, right? And scrapped. That may cost some amount of money. So you typically would hold money in reserves for things like that.
How much money is our share? Can you tell us?
I don't have the actual number, but I believe it's in the range of $2 to $3 million.
And are we asking for all of it back or part of it back?
I'd love to have all of it back, subject to a parental guarantee and maintaining of an investment grade credit rating, which we currently have. But we're willing to, negotiate with OUC. Now, we don't negotiate directly with them. We do it through FMPA, who represents us. But that's the crux of the argument. There's a different opinion at OUC, and we're going through that tussle process.
That corporate, if we, let's say we got a couple $1 million back, we would have to guarantee that if there was expenses that needed to be done, we would cover them? Our
Yes,
share of them?
absolutely. Absolutely. And the reality as a part owner of the plant, we're reliable for it anyway. But I can understand OUC's position to wanting to make sure that all of those players are healthy and vibrant and ready to write that check when the day comes. They feel obviously that they are. That's my understanding of the dispute. But they don't feel the rest of us are. So that's why they want our cash. So that I may be oversimplifying it. I might prove to be wrong in my own analysis of this, but we'll keep you posted on how that
So
goes.
OUC is pretty much saying, trust us?
Essentially, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Trust but
Yes,
verify.
yes. And
Okay.
I don't have any reason to say that we couldn't trust them.
No, of
But
course.
what we feel is it should be, what's good for them should be good for us as a group of FMPA members who are invested in that unit and benefited from it for many years.
Okay. Mr. McVoy first?
The mayor asked one of the questions about what size, so about 2-3 million, something in that range. And is the position that you've described, which seems fairly reasonable, is that also the FMPA position essentially? So this would apply to all of the FMPA members that they all would like to, or are we different from the other FMPA ones for some reason?
No, very good question. We are the same. I don't know how they would vote because we're also subject to sunshine.
Right.
But based on the comments that I heard in public at the board meeting as a part of the board discussion, it would appear that a fair number of the members are thinking like I just spoke. Now, I may not have all the facts because I'm not in the close circle of people that's actually negotiating the transaction. But that's my takeaway, my understanding as a voting member. We have not had a vote on it. And of course, OUC is a majority owner. Unfortunately, the documents were silent on that when they were put together in the 1980s. So we're in uncharted waters, and not being an attorney, I don't know what the odds would be that we would win that.
So essentially, if we got our money back, we would essentially then be saying to them, trust us.
Yes.
Okay.
And my personal opinion is that as long as we hold an investment grade rating,
Right.
that should be sufficient. Now, although I can understand why they might want to have some cash, but I don't agree with all of it.
Okay.
Right.
Ms. Malega?
I had a follow up with that. As you well know, this issue of decommissioning and so on is particularly, it's not as big a deal with coal plants. There are environmental issues. There are decommissioning, just simply taking apart the thing. But with nuclear power plants, it can be hugely expensive. Do we have a similar arrangement on our St. Lucie one? And have we been paying in? Because somebody at some point is going to have to spend a lot of money to clean that up.
There are reserves. We have
It's way
contrib-
out.
It's my understanding. Good question. No, it's a very good question. So it's my understanding that we have been contributing to reserves all along, and that there are reserves on hand for that. Now, in that particular case, that plant is majority owned by Florida Power and Light. I don't know how that reserve is actually structured, whether they have a parental guarantee or whether they have actual cash there as well. I'm not familiar enough, so I can't comment on how that one is structured, but there are reserves for that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Malega.
So my question is there an interest that they pay us for holding this money for so long in perpetuity to the city?
There is interest on it. It accrues to the benefit, I believe, of the reserve fund itself. I don't
So
think
it's
I
not
don't-
paid to us.
I don't recall that
So
it
they're
is. I
making
can check
money
on
off
that.
of our money for the last 40 years, essentially.
Well, it's kind of like an
Goes into
escrow account. It's
goes
held.
into the
It can't be transferred to OUC. It's held for the benefit of the project. It can't be transferred out of the project. That I haven't read the contract, but I can't imagine that they could take that out. I haven't heard that they did that.
Seems like it would add to the
So-
balance.
Yeah, I think
Well,
it adds to the
that's what I'm
balance.
saying. So if they've been collecting this money for over 40 years and they've collected X amount of dollars exponentially, that reserve, the money that they've made on the reserve should be able to sit there as part of that guarantee that the trust you, as they said, that money is sitting there and
Yep.
technically belongs to the whole group, that interest, not just to OUC.
Well, the group
Yeah, oh,
that
yeah.
paid into it, because OUC didn't pay into
That's
it.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It belongs to the group. So
Yep.
then that, therefore, withdrawing your initial deposit to me wouldn't make sense because they've made interest on it for so many years.
Mhm.
And that interest is still going to be sitting
could
there.
be.
It's not going away.
Right. My understanding is that the balance accrued on to the benefit of what I call them, the minority owners in the plant is in the range of $30 to $33 million, and roughly 5 to 10% of that would be Lake Worth Beach's share of it.
Ms. May.
Thank you. So, and what we're saying also is that because we've paid into this, the money is sitting there and we can't use that money for our benefit. We can't invest that money. We can't do anything with it. And OUC without putting money in does have that opportunity. And that's part of your argument, correct?
Their own money that they didn't put in, they've used
Right,
for
they
other
can-
purposes.
Correct.
They
And we,
use this-
and we are unable to do so.
right.
And but they are not allowed to use the money in the reserves to invest or do something for their own.
No, that would, let me put it this way, I would be surprised that I haven't read the documents, but I would be surprised if they were able to do that. I think it's
It'd be
kind
too
of like
much
an
risk.
escrow account.
Too much
You-
risk.
you
Okay.
have to leave it in there and let it grow.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
And these are all audited, by the way. So,
One would hope.
yes.
Okay.
And one more item.
Sure.
FMEA launched this year a series of podcasts, and Florida Municipal Electric Association. So the first podcast was an interview with Amy Zubli, our executive director. I think you've all met Amy over the years in conferences, and I think she's come to speak here. I'm podcast number 2. So if you have about 51 minutes that you want to never get back,
Or if you're having trouble sleeping.
right? I think listener number. I think
I love you,
my
Ashley.
mom. may have been
Let me apologize on her behalf.
I think either my mom or some of my staff members might have been listeners number 1. But
How do
I've
we find
sent
it?
the link on to the manager.
Okay.
If you're interested, it's not required reading, just letting you know, but it's out there. If somebody asks you about it, you don't say, "What? What's he talking about?" Yeah,
Will there be a test?
no, no. It may be required reading for staff because it speaks strongly to what's the role that staff played as a team in the turnaround that we've led here for the past 8 years together.
Can you have that put on the website?
It's I've sent it to the PIO, so she has
Okay.
it as well, but that's optional. It's not
Well, I think
not
it's
self-promoted, but you
the
should
more
wear it
information,
comes up.
it's again, it wouldn't be required, but the more information we can get out to the public, I think the better. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Water utility update. Our own Miss Baker.
Hello,
Hello.
Juan Baker, Water Utilities. I should be quick tonight. Last time we had an update, a lot of the items that we discussed are kind of status quo since last discussing them. The water main between Lake and Lucerne from C to F is complete. And that was a very old 4-inch water main. We replaced it with 6-inch, and we have had a fire hydrant test demonstrate that the fire flow has significantly increased since we did that as well. So all good news. The water treatment plant is about to get a new roof and a membrane on top of our underground storage tank. So that's exciting. It is a grant that has been with our department since before I started working here. So we're excited to finally spend that money, and it's considered, hurricane hardening. So we're looking forward to getting that taken care of. Our cost of service study is on tonight's agenda. We are very excited to see what comes out of that to hopefully better inform our budgeting process. And I guess the last thing to mention is we have engaged with a recruiting firm for the assistant director position. I could really use some help. So if anybody knows anyone that may be interested, feel free to reach out.
I don't know.
What-
between
are you-
water
are
and
you ready?
electric, I could go either way.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. McBoyd?
I don't like to stir the pot, but, the whole.
Commissioner, can you turn your mic on, please?
The issue of and I forget what to call it, but the main line that connects from Lantana to us that might be related to the difficulties around Palmway and Lakeside. Can you give us a little update of where we are? I'm sure those residents would love to hear.
Yeah, we have reached out to our consultant and have requested a proposal. So we're waiting on the proposal. That's kind of one of the items where I was saying, we're still status quo from last time we talked about it. Once they get us the proposal, we can hopefully execute it quickly and get started studying that.
What's the time frame for getting the proposal?
I can ask our consultant.
Yeah, this
Usually
is really
that's
going on for a long time. These folks need to. If you could put that one on the.
it is. I mean, we know that it's high priority.
And as as Vice Mayor Malega said, totally separate, I believe separate from that one, there were a number of reports, including from me, of smells along Lucerne, which is sort of an ongoing thing. And I understand that, well, those are state pipes and state roads but the bottom line for residents and businesses downtown is that it's here in Lake Worth, and we need to somehow get to the bottom of it.
I understand. I feel like the FDOT did get to the bottom of it, so to speak. They found that illicit connection from a drain line from downtown restaurants, but we have not heard from them since, and I've tried to follow up several times. I will continue to follow up. I definitely understand the concern and that it's affecting our residents, whether or not it's FDOT or city. But unfortunately, it's just not our asset. So other than continuing to pester the DOT.
You were encouraged to.
The greasy wheel.
pester them.
And if you give us
Noisy
their
wheel.
information, we will pester.
Yeah.
Yes, we'd be. happy to help.
To pester.
Happy higher electeds pester.
Okay, I have been going through their kind of, layman's system, because unfortunately with the FDOT, there's so many people, so many divisions, departments, that when you find one contact and then you try to reach out to them about something different, they say, oh, that's not my problem, that's somebody else, and you get passed around.
But
So
the smell on Lucerne is separate from the smell, or is it
Right.
not? There's two
Yeah, I
separate
think
things.
there's-
totally separate
I thought-
issues.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Mr. Segwin.
Thank you. I was going to ask about the same two things, but back on the Palmway. If we're waiting on a consultant to get us a proposal back over a month or 2 months, that's kind of a problem. Do we have other alternatives for consultants? I mean, the reason for getting outside consultants hopefully is to have throughput so that they can tackle problems quickly. And it seems a little strange to me that they're setting the absolute timeline, and it's like, well, we hope they get back to us. Do we have other options, or are we stuck with this one consultant? We can only have one.
We have 4 consultants on our continuing negotiating agreement that was,
Okay.
I think, executed in 2023. It's been, I want to say, 2 or 3 weeks since I requested this proposal. We hadn't, I'm trying to, It's going to take any consultant that amount
Sure.
of time to prepare a
Yeah, no,
proposal.
2 to 3 weeks is reasonable, but I was under the impression many months ago that we were reaching out.
No, many months ago, I had to talk to our sub-regional partners and
Okay.
they had to authorize the search for this proposal. Or actually, I was trying to get them to authorize kind of the next step so that we really could rush this process, but they backed me up and said, no, we need a study. So once I had their authorization, then I have to go to our CCNA consultants and
So we
request a
got their
proposal.
authorization 2 weeks ago.
We got
or
their
3 weeks ago.
authorization. I think it was just before the last commission meeting in which I did a water utility update. So probably 1 month
A
ago.
month ago. Okay. And then on the downtown issue, some of my questions you might not be able to address, but in terms of leverage with FDOT, at some point, this is a health and safety issue because this is rotting grease and food going into our storm drain, causing noxious fumes. So do we have any legal recourse where we can go
don't
after
know.
them? So, maybe that's something that we can check into with our legal team. The other side of it is having a grease trap going into stormwater is an EPA issue. Have we reported this to the EPA?
No. Probably FDEP would be the place
The
to
more
start with
appropriate.
that,
Okay.
right?
So can we get that reported to them?
Here's my thing. I have an email from the FDOT that says, we investigated this. We found an illicit connection from a restaurant's drain. That is the last I have heard from them. They didn't provide me any pictures, documentation, anything. So all of my repeated attempts at follow-up have gone completely unanswered. Anybody that I've asked since then, and without documentation of, what's actually going on there, send me a photo, send me proof. I don't feel comfortable going to a different regulatory agency. And
So they didn't give us the address. They didn't, because I was given a very specific building and restaurant's name that
they
was the
gave us
cause.
that restaurant's name
Okay.
in writing, yes. But again, without, I guess, proof that that restaurant
That-
did that, I
that-
don't feel comfortable reporting it.
That's
Did
where,
they not, I'm sorry, did they not offer to remedy the situation? I mean, it's their,
The last communication I had, and I'm pretty sure I've distributed it to all, it's like a year ago at this point that I heard back from the FDOT. That's the last time I have received any type of, response from them. They told me the name of the restaurant. They said they were going to investigate it further. That's all I
So-
have.
so at this point, they've told us the location, and I don't want to say the name of the restaurant because it's probably not their fault. They moved in there and it was probably already existing. We don't have to wait to have absolute proof to report it to a regulatory agency. They investigate. That's what they do. So the fact that we haven't reported it in over a year is a little bit of an issue for me, especially since they're not getting back to us. I think at this point, we've given them a year. I think we need to be exploring all legal remedies for recourse, reporting to all environmental agencies that we can, as well as having code look at the building for the illicit connection. Otherwise, this is not going to get solved. It's obvious they're ignoring us. So I would ask,
again, if you give us the people, we will be happy to each one of us contact these people about the DOT, but let's get on.
but I think we do need to give direction for staff to reach out to an environmental regulatory agency about this problem. I mean, it's having a grease trap going into a water system is serious business. There's bacteria, all sorts of things that can cause health problems, issues, not to mention what it's doing to our downtown, loss of business. Companies I know have moved out because of it. Companies have refused to come here because of it. So, I think we need to take this a little more seriously than just wait for FDOT.
Mr. Brown,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Vaughn, can you just forward me that email?
Yes.
I just pulled up Mike Miller's stuff here. He's the in charge of operations for Palm Beach County. So I'll push this from my side.
And I thought you already were speaking with them.
okay, we can also discuss it backstage. Mr. McFoy?
And if I might comment, one of the restaurants that apparently is been finger pointed at has told me that they that it's not the case. So I'm a little skeptical as to where the problem is coming from. Perhaps it's that, but it's the places that people notice the smells is far from that. That doesn't mean it didn't come from that source, but I would say a degree of skepticism of what is causing this is probably warranted. But I agree with Commissioner Segrich that somehow or other we need to pressure somebody, I guess at FDOT, maybe at FDP. I'm not sure that FDP will investigate, but let's write them some letters and say, we'd like you to.
Okay.
We need a solution.
And if you
Is
can
that
let us-
something you'd like
if you
me
can
to do?
Follow up with us, that would be helpful, like an email, like within the next week or so, like who to contact or what's been done.
Anything additional?
That would be helpful.
One more thing. So stuff like this with grease traps happens all the time, where the grease trap is either broken, not hooked up properly, connections like this, it happens. And temporary grease traps are a thing, and they're not terribly difficult to put in and retrofit. And so has code investigated this? Because I know I asked several weeks ago.
I mean, I could just see them sending DOT a code violation. I mean, I'm
Well,
not saying.
no,
don't do it, but
I'm
it's
saying
just-
for the building, I'm asking Mr. Brown.
I don't know that code would have any way to find out whether that's a legitimate complaint without FDOT sending some sort of backup documentation.
The code doesn't do any type of televising blinds, so they wouldn't be able to.
I can't hear you.
I said code doesn't do any TVing, televising blinds, any utility lines.
But they've cited people for improper grease traps before. So how do they go about doing that?
Well, grease traps are I would compare them to a manhole. You know, they have a lid, you can pick it up, you can look, you can see it, you can tell if a grease trap is improperly maintained, but then the pipe that leaves is underground and you can't tell where it goes without sending a camera through.
Okay, so do we have the ability to scope that pipe?
It's not our asset.
The grease trap, the pipe leaving the restaurant at some point goes somewhere. I'm asking if we have the ability to do that. If we were to get the property owner's permission and say, hey, we really want to clean up this stink for you, the town, and everybody else. And they say, yes, of course, you may, just like we do smoke tests. Do we have the ability to figure out where this pipe is going?
Depending on, I guess it would really come down to parking configuration. If we could get our camera truck in a position to send the camera down through their grease trap. It also depends on the diameter of that line, because if it's tiny, no, we do not have that availability, but it is something that I can look into.
Or could we look into what it would cost for a smaller rig than a truck camera? The bottom line is I don't think we can wait for FDOT on this to make a determination what the actual issue is. If we can on our own determine it and work in conjunction with the business owner, we have a chance of getting it solved. Otherwise, we're just going to sit here spinning our wheels for another year. So do we have kind of
Yeah, I mean, I
consensus
have
from
no
you guys?
argument with
to-
it.
to go there? Thank you.
Commissioner, your mic is off again.
Sorry. If that's where the problem is, which maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. And maybe there's, like you say, you know, the pipe going out of the grease trap should never be going into a storm drain anyhow. It should be going into sanitary sewer or nothing at all. It should just be a trap.
Okay.
So,
Right.
but I agree with Commissioner Segrich.
Yeah, I-
Let's put some
I think
investigative
we
stuff
all
in.
agree.
Do any of you, I think most of you know the business, I again don't want to say it in public,
Yes.
have contact information?
Give us a call.
Okay,
Give us a call. Yeah, let us.
Okay.
yeah, Or call us.
all right,
I think it's it.
all right, yes,
Thank you very much. And we love our water. We continue to have great water.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Okey doke. Public participation of non-agenda items and consent agenda. I have a couple cards. Thank you. Peggy Fisher.
Peggy Fisher, 508 North A Street. At the last CRA meeting, I heard a sort of distressing comment by a business that was trying to come into the city, had gotten some grant money from the CRA and was trying to get paid out. They had gone to apply for their sign permit. They were told, nope, you can't get a sign permit yet before you have a business license. So they went to get a business license. You can't get a business license if you have an open sign permit. That doesn't make any sense. Those two should work together. This is not business friendly. And it needs to be addressed that if a new business is coming in, clearly they need a license, clearly they want a sign. Those things should go hand in hand, and our staff should be helping them do that. The other thing that I've heard recently is that there has been a concerted effort by code on our downtown businesses, which is, I think, sort of alarming to some of the downtown businesses because they're trying as hard as they can, one, to stay in business, two, to do things right. And for me as a resident, I find it alarming when I go to the end of a dead end street and find a trailer filled with junk metal, washer and dryers, refrigerators, sitting on the roadway, taking up half of a property's front line. And it's been obviously been sitting there and been being collected by the person who's sort of running it for a long time. Code should be able to see that. If I can drive down that street and see it and take a picture and give it to Mr. Perry to get it addressed, our code officer should be driving our roads. I shouldn't be able to call every week saying there's solid bulk waste here, there's bulk waste here. I've driven by 3 different piles of mattresses today. That is where if we want to talk about beautifying our city, then our code officers need to be out in our residential areas driving our streets, because that's what needs to be cleaned up. I saw people putting out bulk waste the day after bulk waste was picked up in my district. And that description I just described, which I'm glad you're shaking about, was in your district.
Might be, depending what it was.
No, it was in your district. And so I just think everybody, maybe drive your
Thank you,
district.
that time.
Thank you.
Mr. Christensen, Gerald Christensen.
Good evening. My name is Gerald Christensen. I live at 2608 Colgate Lane, Lake Worth Beach, Florida. I've been living there for over 32 years. I've been retired for 31 years. I'm a retired special agent with the IRS Criminal Division. I'm very concerned about this issue with the state where they want to eliminate property tax. I know you don't have anything to do with it, but I just wanted to make a comment on it. I don't pay a lot of property taxes because I've been homestead exempt from all these years. Neighbors of mine do pay a lot of taxes, but what people don't realize is the ones that pay a lot of taxes is a deduction on their federal income tax return. The main issue that I have that I'm bringing before you today is the issue on the referendum to change the lease agreement to 99 years. I think it was a huge mistake to put that on that referendum on the ballot, especially with just a simple majority. It should have been a super majority issue. My understanding is the reason why it was changed quite some time ago is because city commissioners abused their authority and were trying to sell some property, which was against the interests of the taxpayers. So the referendum was put on the ballot and 70% of the taxpayers voted for the new referendum. My issue is this: if you're going to make major decisions for your golf course or your beachfront property, it should be a referendum vote. Us residents should have somewhat of a say to what happens in our city. And if you're looking at a 99-year lease, which may involve millions of dollars, the old saying is power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I'm very, very much against this issue. And I would hate to wake up one morning and find out that my little golf course down the street, you sold 4.5 acres to some developer or gave them a lease without even approval of the residents. I have one question. When it comes to the sale of Lake Worth property, what are the requirements on that?
We don't respond to public comments.
Oh, okay. Okay. But anyway, that's my feeling about it is if this is voted on and it's changed in 99 years, it's going to lead to corruption down the road a ways.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve
Sure.
consent agenda.
Do I have a second by, motion by Commissioner, Vice Mayor Malega, second by
Second.
Mr. Segridge. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next, unfinished business, incident review, loss of communication. I think this is probably Mr. Electric.
Yes, it is. It's electric. I'm going to ask to come up and lead a presentation of the Alyssa, who's our compliance and grant administration manager, Alyssa Kirk. And high level, we're going to walk you through an incident which took place and how we responded, not because that incident needs your review, but to give you a level of confidence that we do have incident management practices in place and how it worked in this particular case.
Can I just, Madam Mayor? Can I just ask that we all hold our questions until the end?
Yeah.
So Alyssa can get through the
Get through it.
presentation all the way through. Thank
Good
you.
idea.
Is this on? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna wait on IT to put the presentation up.
Okay.
May want to pick it up because it doesn't
Yeah, we
have
can't.
much range to it.
Okay, I'll stay close. Would you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So this is called a continuity of action plan after action report. And to start with, I wanted to tell you what is a continuity of action plan. So what is a COOP? A COOP is a document that looks like this with 777 pages that is developed by the city manager's office with input from all the departments within the city. And it is what to do in the event of any emergency that requires continuity of operations for our citizens and being electric utility for our customers. Which button do I push? Okay, thank you. So a continuity of action plan in the city of Lake Worth Beach, I'm very pleased to say it is developed intentionally with intentionality, and ours, as you can see from this book, is mature. We have taken it through numerous review cycles with Jamie Brown, with Troy Perry, and prior to that with the previous administration. So I gave you an example of when we last used it, 2004 for Hurricane Francis and Jean, thank you. So a COOP, continuity of action plan, is federally and state mandated. We have to have one, and we do. And for those of you who are legal, I did want to give you the statutes that explain what it is, why we have to have it. And I wanted to give you some examples of when we would use it. We use it in disruption of natural hazards, technological hazards, which is the one we're going to talk about tonight, human caused incidents, public health emergencies, which might be important coming up, supply chain disruption, facilities impacts, and infrastructure impacts. And that is directly from the Presidential Policy Directive 40. So a COOP has core elements. The city departments get together and define essential functions that must be available in the event of one of those natural hazards, disasters.
Then we have orders of succession planning. For example, if Mr. Brown were unavailable, if Mr. Liberty were unavailable. So we do include a plan for if our leadership was unavailable, what is the order of succession? We have continuity communication, which you're going to see in this example. If, for example, the landlines were down, what would we do? If our network was down, what would we do? So it includes also alternate facilities, which you're going to see in this example. It includes vital records and data management, human capital planning, which you're going to see in this example, and a return to normal operations. So I'm going to tell you what happened and when, and I think I'm going to answer many of your questions before you even have to ask them. So this is a picture of the 1900 building today. As you know, it's under construction. People are operating out of temporary facilities, trailers. You're going to see some more pictures of that in a minute. And the building is under construction. It's fenced off. We don't park in the front anymore. So it's a change. These are the mobile facilities that our current employees, many of our employees for community sustainability operate out of, and they receive the public in these mobile facilities. Of course, the utility customer service for both electric and water is located at 120 North Federal Highway and is not impacted by this construction. So at 8:59 a.m. on January 6th, employees working at 1900 2nd Avenue North, both in the mobile facilities, those trailers, and in the larger building, began reporting disruptions. Their computers recycled. They were unable to get on the network. They lost ability to communicate. They couldn't get to their files. Their telephones turned off and turned back on. And when they came back on, I'm talking about their desk phones, they did not work. The printing. So in the morning, for example, the electric utility, we print orders before the linemen or our meter shop go out. We print orders by 6 a.m. The printing is disrupted at 8:59 a.m. So these are orders that we print throughout the day. And then network access and all data was unavailable. This impacted both the building and those mobile facilities that I just showed you. At 9:14 a.m., this big book, the COOP, was activated. So it took us 15 minutes. And that's because as the reports come in, before we activate the COOP, we need to understand if it's widespread. We walked out to the mobile facilities. Are you being impacted? We walked to each area in the building. Are you being impacted? We don't activate the COOP because one person's phone goes off. We call IT. Okay. So in order to determine the impact and then call the executives, we activated the COOP at 8:14. It took us 15 minutes, which is, according to the standard, excellent. So as a result of a widespread network and connectivity outages at 1900, we activated the COOP for all of the 6 items that you see here. We lost essential functions. We implemented orders of succession, continuity of communications, alternate facilities. I'm going to show you nice pictures of all of the employees. Vital records and data management, and human capital planning. You will be pleased to know every employee was open to being moved to a new location or to working without these functions and still receiving the public. And you're going to see some great pictures of how well our employees responded. So by 9:20 a.m., IT assumed incident command. So this is a FEMA requirement. You have to have an incident commander. They have to take charge of the technical, in their case, IT, of assessing what's occurred. Why is all this occurring? What do we know? What are the facts? What can we assume safely? And how do we move forward? So these are the COOP elements that were engaged by IT. And we're very pleased. They took immediate command and control while we started moving resources. They were on the ground right there, all of IT. They came boots on the ground. They brought laptops for people who needed things. They brought phones, and people were deployed to another location, which you're about to see. So thank you, IT. Between 9:30 and 10:30, all employees were set up either in their alternate location or were set up to begin to restore, able to do work. It's a lot of employees. And by 10:30, they were all able to get back on the network. The network was still down, and you're going to see that IT worked with the electric utility to come up with a solution. But in the meantime, people used their cell phones to get on the internet. They used whatever they could. They set up their own hotspots while all under IT's direction. People were calling IT, can I do this? Am I allowed to do that? And you're going to see an after action report where everything that we learned, we documented. So we'll start with the meter shop. I already told you that they have their orders printed for disconnects or reconnects or new service. So what they did was how they were impacted was beginning at that time, 8:59 a.m., they were no longer able to print. So they were getting new orders from customer service for new personnel who needed meters, people who needed a new meter, people who needed various things, a meter read. And they were unable to print those orders to manually hand them to the employees. So what they did was a workaround. And this is an example of one of our meter shop employees who then took those orders, came back and got them, and went out in the field wearing all his safety gear, his PPE, personal protective equipment, went out in the field without a word of complaint and just continued as if it was normal business. So there were temporary worksite relocations. The community sustainability staff remained in those mobile facilities to continue providing customer service to the greatest extent possible during this disruption. And they were very pleasant about it, and they were grateful to continue to do that. They expressed over and over and over that they were pleased to do that. That is considered to be a worksite relocation, even if you stay in your location temporarily, because it shows that a decision was made. It didn't happen by chance. The City Public Information Office. Let me make sure I didn't go back. I don't know how to go back. Okay, so the City Public Information Office was, of course, involved by 11 a.m. We were able to give them information that IT had collected. I'm going to take you through the root cause in just a minute, so then you'll see what IT saw. But they were able to put out notices that customer service for water and electric utility were not impacted, that residents could still continue to do their daily business with the city, and that nothing from customer-facing operations had changed for location. So let me tell you what happened. At the same time, while IT was assuming incident command, they worked with the electric utility, and they were able to come up with a workaround solution so that they could get people back online by using existing conduit cable that we already had in place and making sure that there was a separation of network to ensure that it was compliant. So we immediately called our compliance officers to make sure that the workaround solution that the technical resources developed was going to continue to be compliant, because I'm in revenue fine avoidance and I wanted to make sure that we were taken care of. Mr. Liberty led us with IT through this, and we were taken care of. So we were compliant, and of course we have that in writing.
So to put this in perspective, what had taken place was a sudden cable break. You come into work in the morning and blink, your whole day changes in an instant. The workaround that was conceived of by our operational technology manager, Maggie or Magdalena, was pretty cool because we had installed a lot of fiber around the city for the purpose of operational technology. We're controlling our substations, breakers, radio system, reclosers, our operational technology network. She realized that, and collectively we were all brainstorming, and the light bulb went off in her head first was, hey, we've got fiber that comes here from another location where IT also happens to have some structure. If we pull a cable from A to B and we connect it all the way over in E to F, we can light up this fiber quickly. And oh, but wait a second, it's on our operational technology network, which is federally overseen. So how do we get around that? And so that spark jumped and to a good solution. So I'll give it back to
Thank you.
our speaker to explain that.
Thank you. So I still haven't told you the why yet, but I am going to tell you that if you look at these folks right here, some of them have been with the city 25 years. They relocated to the power plant and started working off laptops. They continued their work. They didn't have their screens. IT came over and helped them immediately. IT immediately implemented all of the necessary things to get everybody back online, no matter what location they had to deploy to. As I was saying, the city public information updated social media that of any changes that were relevant to the public, although at this time there were none. So this is the solution Mr. Liberty was saying. Ms. Miguelina Tutova Hooks, our OT network manager, was able to look at network diagrams and determine, as Mr. Liberty explained, that we already had a possible solution. We ensured that it met all compliance, federal, local, and then we implemented with IT still leading as incident command, which is a huge responsibility. So between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. on 1/7, everything was restored. Every single thing was restored by IT. And the next day on 1/8, we found out the root cause, although we had hypothesized all along. AT&T was in our yard and they cut a cable. Yes, and because in the root cause, you'll see it. And because the cable was 30 years old. It was not on any diagram. There was no way to locate it. And AT&T came out and restored it the next day. So the total incident from start to temporary fix took 3 hours. The total incident for AT&T, they were out there. Mr. Liberty went by. I went by late at night. They were still there working on it. It did take them a total of 36 hours to get it complete. But we had them on site that day, and I insisted that they stay. Yes, I've seen that when they leave, they forget my name. We don't know how to contact them. They give me 100 phone numbers, none of which call anybody that wants to talk to me. So I insisted they stay. And I remember calling Mr. Liberty at 7:30 at night and said, I'm still here. IT is here with me. And this is what we're doing. So the root cause, really, we conducted a post-event lessons learned. Mr. Liberty, it's called a hot wash. Mr. Liberty allowed me to conduct it. Thank you, sir. And I took a list of items that we did not have answers to, or a list of activities that needed to be done. And the last one was completed on Friday. Yes, which is, I didn't have a resource whose computer needed to be upgraded and get a newer version of a laptop. It was very old and didn't really want to play nicely. So every action item that we were requested, other than, I don't know about 30-year-old diagrams, but everything else was completed on Friday. And we did our lessons learned, our hot wash. The root cause analysis was AT&T cutting a cable that was not on any diagram. And I know this because I physically went through those diagrams myself, because somebody can tell me something, but I'm compliance and I know it's trust but verify. But I told Mr. Liberty last week, we actually work, myself, in the world of zero trust. Zero trust. And that's it. So
That's amazing. Bravo. Bravo to
And-
the staff.
right.
Bravo that you had it all set up. I mean, that shows us we don't know about this stuff until it happens.
Yes.
So now we know how it works and how good.
I had asked Mr. Liberty if I could put your role in here. And he said, no, but that I could tell you that your role in this is to, if it were a long-term, was to continue to provide governance, and that the systems and personnel and all of those that are listed in this book is what we follow, and you continue to provide governance.
Well, that's great. We
So
just sit back and let y'all do your work. Is our best job.
it was important for me for y'all to have pictures of staff. We went and took those pictures while they were working to show that it's not easy to go from your desk to a power plant when your lunch is in the refrigerator over here and then work on a laptop,
And do
and
it
everybody did
cheerfully
it.
and willingly.
Yes.
Well, we have a great staff, and I think the more we shout out to the staff of all our departments, not just utilities, but every department. We have hardworking, dedicated people that don't get enough recognition, and please send back with us to IT, to everybody, our gratefulness about how you handle this. It's wonderful.
And I did not create this alone. Everybody helped me create this. There was input from every department. Everybody willingly helped me create this, and they asked me to make sure that I told the story accurately, and I said I would do my best.
Of course you do.
So to try and wrap it up, because I know you want to keep going, but Jamie thought it would be a good idea. So blame you, Jamie, that you all were aware of this incident.
Absolutely.
'Cause
But more importantly, I think not necessarily the incident, because, you know, this type of stuff can happen is, do we have process, systems, procedures, and the people to recover from these incidents? So you can look at it in hindsight and say, that's a small thing, a wire broke. But it threw all of our community sustainability functions into disarray for the day. The gates didn't work, the door badges didn't work, the phones didn't work, security systems didn't work.
Because it's all hooked up to AT&T.
Yeah, everything, we were completely dead in the water, except for the engineering functions that rely on that fiber that we built. But the point is that we have the book. It's been stressed for many years. It started in the prior city manager's function to create these systems to do this. So it doesn't mean we won't have another wire break. But it means that we do have systems in place to recover faster than we could if we had never thought about this stuff.
Absolutely. Oh, does AT&T have this little wire on a grid now? I mean, have we investigated like where that is?
We did, and we've also asked them to make sure that we have a better understanding of what happened 30 years ago, regardless of what they understand or don't understand. It should not be our problem what they don't know. They need to do a better job. We appreciate them as a partner. We told them that because they're a good partner, and mistakes can happen, but they shouldn't happen frequently or again.
Thank you so much. Really, bravo.
I'm going to convey to all employees, because they are so excited that I'm here tonight to show you their pictures and tell you their story.
Well, if you're out there watching, thank you so much. Really, we appreciate you. And what else can we say but thank you, and keep up the good work.
They'll watch tomorrow. They watch on Wednesdays. Employees come in early to watch commission.
Oh my God. Well, we hope we live up to their hopes. Thank you so much.
Did I answer all your questions?
Sigrid.
Oh, I just wanted to ask, could we get a copy of the coop?
It's your book.
It's in the whole thing?
The coop, I'm sorry, it's maintained in Jamie's and Troy's office.
Okay.
So.
But thank you. I mean, a lot of people don't realize, you know, they think the internet goes out. It's kind of simple, like you have at your home, but having done this in the corporate world, there's a lot that goes into it, from compliance and regulatory things. And it's quite amazing that you guys were able to do that in 3 hours. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. Really appreciate it. All of our staff. Okay, up next is unfinished business B, acceptance of the FDEP grant and price matching for the Northwest Ball Field number 5.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. C, fiscal year 26-27 Community Development Block Grant CBDG application. And I had asked Mr. Brown, if you could, do we have a list of what we looked at last year that did not get approved?
So what we had last year was obviously what was approved, which was the YEC building as well as the gym itself, because that was all one parcel, even though it's 2 different locations. And then we had 2 separate greenways.
It was Greenways.
Greenways.
That's the only thing that did not get done
Correct.
okay. And 5th? No, not 5th.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we have a presentation? Do we have a presentation?
Should we make a motion first to
We can
discuss
make a
it?
motion.
Motion to approve option 1.
Well, I need to see a presentation
Well,
because I have
really,
no
I will
backup.
second that option, that motion.
Okay, for discussion. Okay, so we have a
The
motion.
Compass Building.
We have a motion by Ms. May. We have a second for discussion by Ms. Malega. But we're going to get a presentation from staff.
Yes, good evening, Stuart Sword, Assistant Director of Leisure Services. This was received about 3 weeks ago, so it's a very truncated timeline in terms of reception to staff digesting it, to staff doing the analysis, putting this product together, doing the community input, preparing the staff report. We had about 5 working days. Some staff actually worked on Sunday to actually meet this timeline and bring it before the
Thank you.
commission. Because we do need the input and direction approval from the commission for the submission tomorrow to the county. So city manager kind of discussed, some of the options. We did leverage the open space recreation master plan because I know it hasn't been presented yet. It's on the agenda for March 3rd, but it does have some good data in there that staff could look at. Historically, we looked at things that we have done. This current year, we spent a lot of time, energy projects in the southern end. So as staff looks at things, we try to scatter projects throughout, the different quadrants of the community. And this is where we're at. We had a total of, I believe it was 7 options. Staff really landed on 2. We did present all 7 to the community input. I think everyone's aware of what the community development block grant is. Historically, it's been every year, but in terms of staff leaning forward, because I know we could reflect and lean forward for next year, we don't really know what the parameters are. So without knowing what the parameters are, the dollar figure and stuff like that, it is challenging for us to already have some options teed up. But we did do that rather quickly once we received that. 2 projects that this is the outline, one boundary, the red is community development block grant, just to put it in perspective for everyone. It's pretty much Dixie Highway West. Now, as you go down into the southern quadrant of Lake Worth Beach, it does kind of spread a little bit to the east, but there are some parks and stuff that are east of Dixie that would not be in consideration. So as staff had to do that, we had to identify that the project was inside the boundaries, and the yellow being a CRA area. Here's a list of the 33 different parks, open spaces, green space. This comes from the open space master plan that'll be briefed on March 3rd, but kind of use this as initial azimuth as we move forward. This was leisure working in conjunction with public works. Some city manager, Mina, and myself kind of landed on a couple options. First being the Compass building. That building, initially, we were looking at the roof. The roof has had some rehab, I believe. It was 2018. I have to defer to city manager on that, but we thought it was later. So that's why we had the roof listed on there initially. But since the roof has been rehabbed, we've landed on the elevator. And I do have some initial costing that was not in the backup that I could present and move forward. We just didn't have time to get it into the backup in terms of the costing. Correct. That's it. So in lieu of the roof, it would be an upgrade on the elevator, making the elevator improved and ADA compliant, and then obviously the chiller and ductwork to improve the HVAC system. And I know they've got some challenges there with that system operating at its optimal potential. So that was option 1. The public did unanimously vote. There were 5 members from the community there. All 5 of them did vote for the Compass building. So it was unanimous. We do have those packets. We'll put that in the submission to the county. The other option that staff really looked at was more Memorial Field lighting. Being that we do have a new football provider. They are starting conditioning next week, 3 nights a week. They've got a camp coming up, and the coach, who is a state of Florida championship coach and a national championship coach, has 6 days a week activities planned on that field. That is a very old system. I personally would recommend that we definitely consider this for future community development block grants in the future, because that wiring harness, those bulbs are very old and operate on 6 days a week. We could definitely anticipate some maintenance to be incurred. Some of the other options I don't think are in this slide deck. Let's see if they're in my binder. Many of the other options that we had identified, one of them was Domino Park. I just don't think we could spend $300,000 in Domino Park, but we did put it on there as an area that could be rehabbed. And the other options that we had, I know it was forwarded on to Commissioner Segrich earlier today. This is like the version 2 that ended up in the backup, but Domino Park was on there. Some of the other parks, the Northwest Ball Field was on there. We did have Howard Park on there. We did just do a lot of improvements down in that area. But the recommendation would be to flip that southernmost playground area. It is getting close towards the end of its life cycle. It's not there completely yet, but that would be the option in that area. So pending any questions to me, that would conclude the presentation.
Okay. Do you have any discussion? Well, I don't know. I don't. Okay, Madam Clerk, you don't have any public comment on this, do you?
I do not, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, let's listen to public comment and then we'll discuss. Ramsey McLeod, followed by Peggy Fisher, followed by Julie Seaver. Or Julie, go first. I don't care. Doesn't matter. You each have 3 minutes, 2 minutes.
Ramsey McLeod, 24 South C Street. I'm really appreciative that the city staff looked at the Compass building and decided we really needed to invest our money in there and make the improvements that are much needed. That is not just a space specifically for the gay or LGBTQIA community. It is a space that has been used by the city for functions such as, for instance, when we were doing the redistricting. That was a great location to have the larger maps. Lots of people could come in and use it. And a lot of other entities use that space. So I think it's a wise investment of the city to continue to maintain the building, to fix the chiller, the ductwork, the other things that they've listed on their to-do list. I think it's a good investment. It also maintains a structure that city neighborhood associations, other entities have put on presentations there. So I think it's an investment for the city since we don't have like a community hall. It's kind of our backup plan. It's a beautiful space. They've done wonderful improvements inside, and they have invested a large amount of money as well to change it from the old Mid-County Senior Citizen Center that it used to be back in the day to the sprawling, beautiful location that it is today. So I appreciate your support in approving this and getting the funds for them to fix that building. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Peggy Fisher?
Peggy Fisher, 508 North A Street. The Tropical Ridge Neighborhood Association meets monthly at Compass, and we appreciate their support and see a lot of the things going on. And we fully support this. I believe I also wanted to mention that there was another item where we were saving about 200,000 that was mentioned. It might have been the item before this. And maybe that money could be used in the field lighting. If it is money that was allocated for something else and we were now not having to spend that, it might be a way to make both options addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie Seaver?
Julie Seaver, 930 North Federal Highway. Thanks so much. I actually was really thrilled to be a part of the community input meeting. I learned a lot about how the staff plan for these things and for the next funding cycle. I was sorry to hear that you only get to pick one project. I mean, that was kind of a boo. So as you know, our 11,000 square foot community center that includes an 1,100 square foot health clinic 6 days a week, 65 hours a week with additional access on Sundays, Mondays, and Fridays through community partnerships of other resource sharing and direct services. If you've never visited the center, I encourage you to do so. I'm incredibly proud of the life-saving work that we do there every single day. As other public commenters have mentioned, our building is not simply an office space. It's a true community hub. And while 32 dedicated staff members work there, including administrative, clinicians, therapists, and case managers, the majority of our first floor, most people don't know that we have a second floor. And that is where we house our social workers and some of our community therapists that are providing telehealth. We do that for a couple of different reasons. The reason why we moved everything to the second floor, our health services team, is because we have HIPAA compliant files, conversations during the day where case managers might be speaking with their doctor's offices and their clients. And we wanted to keep the majority of the downstairs for the community. It's completely devoted to public use. So our largest room space, the 2,000 square foot ballroom, hosts some of the largest gatherings, including youth and family programmings, recovery meetings, neighborhood associations, Girl Scout troops, proms, community dinners. We've had trainings for our local Palm Beach Sheriff's Office law enforcement, Red Cross safety initiatives, bereavement groups, and of course, the largest display of the AIDS Memorial Quilt. And to continue serving safely and effectively, We're very grateful for requesting the CDBG grant for two critical infrastructure improvements. First, the replacement of the first floor HVAC system, the community ballroom. There's two remaining air conditioning units. That is a 2,000 square foot space with
Thank you,
an
that's
additional. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
Okay, is it, Mr. Brown? So we don't need the roof is taken care of, so we're substituting elevator for roof. You can stay with us.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
and the $300,000 would cover the roof, the air conditioning and the elevator?
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah, we've got, if you look at your spaces, there is a recent estimate put there. For the
Okay, great, thank you. That was my question, Mr. McBoy, then. Ms. Sally.
I think actually all of the stuff, I was just curious whether there was a public meeting, but I understand
Yeah.
there was. I'm good to go.
Thank you, Mr. Segrich.
This question is for staff. So this is critical infrastructure to that building. Was this on our critical path for replacement this year, next year? Where along the timeline was the city intending on replacing this?
It's gonna be within the next 2 years or so, because they've already been we were over there. It's been a couple months now, dealing with some of the issues. We've kind of been band-aiding this system. So.
Okay. And then thank you, Stuart, for forwarding on. I didn't get the version with the 7 choices. And I know that there were a number of reasons why those were eliminated in terms of, value and size of projects and trying to do that. It would be useful in the future, I think, to see that as part of this. Here's the presentation we gave to the public. Here's the public's feedback. Because when getting presented with an A or B choice, my mind immediately jumped to, well, what were the other choices that we were going through? I think this is wonderful that we are doing this in advance of it becoming a nightmare and an emergency, which we tend to kind of do. So I really am happy that we're able to do this for a great organization and a great building within our city.
Thank you, Ms. May.
I just want to speak as the district commissioner where the building is located, and they did come to me. They did ask me to bring it forward, and I did so. And I highly support this, and I really hope that we vote yes for this tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Malega.
Thank you. And for those of us who haven't been part of the CDBG, we used to have Mr. Kelly, God rest his soul, and Mr. Kelly gave us a thorough presentation every year. And I want to say thank you to staff for picking up the ball and kind of I talked to Mina on the phone because we're used to more detail.
Right.
And he's like, this is kind of our work. We did what we could and we will get more detailed. So thank you, because I did request these numbers last week and said, where's the breakdown? So thank you for bringing that together. And doing some more research. We have a lot of city-owned buildings, which brings us back to the referendum that somebody was mentioning. Non-for-profits that are in our buildings that cannot secure funding on short-term leases. So I pulled up Compass's lease. I requested it from Melissa because I saw it on the public records request. And I said, well, since somebody else requested it, maybe I should take a look. So under maintenance, the city at its sole cost and discretion shall replace the structural major systems of the property, including but not limited to HVAC, roof, foundation, slab, plumbing, walls, including all exterior windows, major repairs. So it does fall in the purview of our lease as well. So I support that fully. And it is kind of an emergency because when I did call Julie and say, explain to me what's happening, she said, well, we did have a couple of people get stuck in the elevator in between the floors. That's not a good thing. I mean, and then you have ADA compliance, and we know how the mayor feels when our elevator's out. So I look forward to approving this and getting another one of our assets that another great not-for-profit is in housing. The needs that you have to, HVAC. I mean, we're in Florida. It's not like we're in Michigan. When the AC goes out, how is it there to work?
Jamie and his team have always responded. They're the only ones that know how to work on that system.
That's fantastic.
I don't know how, but they fix it every single time with duct tape, a wet vac, and a prayer.
There we
The
go.
duct tape.
That's it. So thank you. Again, I did my due diligence in the lease. This is 100%.
Yeah.
100% approval. Thank
Thank
you.
And
you.
then we own the building. It's our building. It's, and when you're a landlord, that's what you do. Mr. McBoy.
Just want to add my encouragement and support to this, and also to point out to the community that something that you alluded to, Ms. Seaver, a little bit, that Compass serves a wide range. It doesn't only serve a specific community. The health services are available to everybody. There's a lot of effort to reach out to the Latino community. So in addition to making the space available, you provide services as well. So
Yeah, absolutely.
thank you, and
Thank you.
all for it.
Madam Clerk, are there any public comments?
I have no comments on any item tonight, Madam Mayor.
All right, and I see no other blue cards, Mr. Brown. I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Woo! Thank you very much for all you do, Compass.
Thank you for
And thank
jumping
you.
in.
Yeah.
We've gone through the CDBG many times, and there's a whole system, and now the person's not there. So thank you.
Okay, new business A, professional services agreement. Professional services agreement with Stantec Consulting for.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Check.
Okay.
Oh.
Motion by, I'm gonna be more careful. Motion by Ms. Malega, second by Ms. May, third by Ms.
Third
McCoy.
by Mr.
All in
McCoy.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
B, work order number 1 with Murphy Pipeline Contractors for pipe bursting of potable water mains for the Water Utility Department.
Why
Do
do
I
we
have a
want to pay
motion?
for bursting pipes?
I know, really? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
By Ms. May, do I have a
Second.
second? By Mr. McFoy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much. Item C, new business, change order 3 to agreement with B and B Underground Construction, Inc. for Parrot Cove Stormwater Improvements Project. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
By Ms. Malega, do I have a second?
Second.
By Mr. McFoy, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I love this. D, D, construction. Shush. Construction agreement with B and B Underground. Oh, I just did that one.
No.
No.
Oh, it's another one. Okay. B and B Underground Construction for Eden Place at 16th Avenue North.
Motion
Seawall
to
Drainage.
approve.
Motion approved by Mr. McFoy, second by
May.
Ms. May. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Or some of the M's have it.
E,
Aye.
task order number 2 with Emicron Services, Inc. for engineering design services. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much. Agreement with AIDASH Inc. for vegetation management services. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, but we'll give Mr. Segrich one. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. G, work order number 26 with Hooper Corporation for construction services of the 4A3S03 Phase 1 feeder circuit. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I see Mr. McFoy's light on.
Just a little bit. I don't know the specifics about this particular Hooper grant, but I do occasionally hear some concern when we go outside for things that our linemen do. Sometimes there's some concern of how it's done. I suspect that doesn't apply to this, because I suspect this is more an engineering project than a lineman project, but I don't know. Just a little bit of concern that, and it's a thing I've expressed before, that whenever possible, let's use our own folks. It's more likely that we don't have to come back and make adjustments or whatever.
So I'll respond to that. We are utilizing our own linemen for all the work that they're available to do. Some of the projects, many of the projects do go out for bid where they require large numbers of linemen for a short period of time, particularly ones where we're setting these very, very large steel poles. All of our linemen today are working 6 days a week on a voluntary basis. For Saturdays, we don't force them to work. So all the work they can do, they are doing. And in some cases, we'll work Sundays as well. For example, this past Sunday, we had a crew on staff just in case something came up, but they were also doing other work. So what held us back for a number of years was a massive amount of work, and not all of this work requires linemen. Some of it is doing these large, deep directional bores. Some of it is doing concrete work, setting buildings, ironworking type work where you have to set big loads, which we don't do ourselves. However, we have purchased or leased a larger truck that can lift the largest of the poles. So
The iron poles, the ones that are up at the
yes,
north?
yeah, we're able to do some of those ourselves.
Dang.
Not the huge ones, but we did get a large truck that can do that. So we're doing more and more of that work. So if you look back in time, about 100% of our time was spent, 6, 7, 8 years ago doing just
Patch.
O&M,
Catch up.
patch it up, catch it up, keep going to the next fire. Now we spend probably 25 to 50% of our time doing capital work, and we work every Saturday on a volunteer basis. Only we don't force people to work Saturdays. So all the work that they can do, they are doing. And it wouldn't make sense to augment our workforce by 20, 30 or more linemen to then suddenly wind up with a situation we don't have enough work. So we're doing a lot of it ourselves. We'll continue that for, if I had to guess, a decade ahead of us of infill work, the capital project work that they're going to be doing a lot of it.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Backside.
Next one, work order number 27 with Hooper Corporation for construction services of the 4A3S03 Phase 2 feeder circuit.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
By Ms. May, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Professional service agreement with NAES Corporation for NERC compliance support services. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
By a motion by Mr. McVoy, do I have a second by Ms. Malega? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. All right.
Second, 7. J is.
Jay's out. We're not doing J. Okay, commission liaison reports and comments. Let's start with District 4 this week. We're gonna do even then odd.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yep.
Good
night. Thank you
keep
very
it-
much, everybody.
Kind of
Thank
keep
you,
it
thank you.
short. Looking at the time, this meeting went very quickly. I would hope if we're doing the 3 meetings, we could add more a little bit to this meeting so that we can chip through that list that we're going through. I think just procedurally with a lot of these, I know we don't do a pre-agenda for the electric utility, but just what we've gone through, that seems like we might have been able to do that as a consent agenda, a lot of these items, which could further save some time.
Yeah, but I will say one thing.
Because it's a cost issue. Okay. Learning. But it would be nice to get through some more of our checklist items and utilize this meeting for that. In terms of District 4, I've done several town halls. I've had many meetings with neighborhood associations. I am doing my last town hall tomorrow for District 4, and as well as talking about referendum items. That's at the Casino Ballroom from 6 to 9. And just as a word of feedback to staff and some organizations, we had extremely positive feedback from the neighborhood associations and individuals within District 4 for all of the work that's been done in South Palm Park. They're excited for the work that's happening in Bryant Park. They are very thankful to PBSO for their work that they've done in the Cultural Plaza, that they've done in Bryant Park and the other areas. I actually got a hug at one of the meetings because one of the neighbors was so happy with the change that they've seen for their quality of life. So, sometimes when things are going really, really good, it's easy to forget to stop and say, wow, thank you again. But, from District 4, I did want to give a wow, thank you again to staff, as well as PBSO for all the great work that's been going on in the city lately.
Thank you. That's good. District 2. Let's do even odd.
Even odd?
Yeah.
I think that would be me.
That would be you.
I would just like to reiterate some of the comments that Ms. Fisher made that I've received concerns from a number of business owners, some of them related to signs, some of them, there does seem to be some sort of a push on businesses downtown. And I do understand that, code enforcement has to go after health and safety issues. I question whether whatever we are doing is as business friendly and is as necessary as should be. I certainly get the impression from businesses that this is not an easy time to have a business downtown. I would hope that we as a commission as a whole, and it's my understanding from previous conversations that we're all pretty encouraging of the businesses downtown. That doesn't seem to be fully reflected in how we are operating, not necessarily us as policy, but in executing that. So I don't know, I don't have necessarily explanations for how or why, but I would just reiterate that let's try to make some of that work more smoothly to support businesses as best as we can.
I have a quick point of information for you on that. I did find out today in my one-on-one that there are internal staff meetings set in place, I believe, March 3rd to discuss this exact topic with the appropriate department heads, and basically they've heard our feedback and hopefully are going to be taking some good steps there. So that was positive to hear from internal
Yeah,
staff.
I'm glad to hear that too. Thank you for sharing that. My only other one is, I've given a lot of thought for a while to, and I don't think that will come to any surprise to anybody, to the issues of immigration enforcement in our community. And circumstances are such that I see right into individual families and what people are going through in a number of cases. And I interact with a lot of the community, and a community member shared with me that volunteered it on their own, that the same thing that I've heard since at least 2010 or 2011, which is the immigrant community, whether they're fully papered or not fully papered or wherever they are in that process, or they're in unprocessed, I've 100% consistently heard that, look, if somebody in our community or other immigrant communities or anybody is doing real criminal activity, we are 100% in support of deportation for those people, and, you know, move them through the regular criminal justice, move them through deportation. Full support for that. I've never heard anybody say differently, and I've had people volunteer that many times. At the same time, what the community is seeing and what I'm seeing is the statements coming from the federal government are simply not true. That the statements that say we're going after the worst of the worst and we're getting rid of the violent criminals and the gang members and whatnot. And if one stops to think about it a little bit, Commissioner Segrich and I both went to PBSO, or to the PBSO's public relations thing, not, in the last few months, and we both saw the results of a PBSO operation that took, from what I understood, something like a year of careful law enforcement work, and resulted in something like 120 or maybe even a little bit more arrests. And as I think I mentioned here once before, I asked, well, how many of those had any immigration issues? And they said about 10 might have it, plus or minus. So less than 10% had immigration issues, but that's not really the issue. The issue was it took real law enforcement something like a year to build up those cases, to go after people who really were bad guys. They really were. And the thought that immigration, federal or FHP, Florida Highway Patrol, is going to come in, just zoom in and actually get through basically on the street kidnappings or pulling people out of people's houses, get violent criminals, just doesn't make sense. If it takes law enforcement that kind of a careful process, that's what it takes. It takes work to build up those cases. And so what we're seeing is, and what the families are seeing is, mostly in this case, FHP, mostly does not seem to be PBSO, although there's a little bit of gray area there, but mostly not, but definitely Florida Highway Patrol coming into our city, coming into Palm Beach County, not doing their work on the highways where there are safety issues that they should be doing, and instead yanking people, breaking up families, taking people, separating, leaving kids stuck to raise their younger siblings. It's not making our communities safer. And the thought that, well, we can't do anything that's not legal with state and federal law. the actions that are being done, the lack of due process, the lack of medical care in the facilities is happening around the country. It's reported for the facilities where our folks are getting taken to. And the level of fear that it has created, not just for people who might be in process with their legal papers or may not have gotten, very far into it, but also for people who are US citizens, the level of fear in the community simply to be discriminated against by what color your skin is, whether you look Latino, what kind of work you do, if you're in landscaping or if you're a roofer. And that's being feared by US citizens also. And that's happening in our community. And for better or worse, I'm faced with it firsthand. I don't know whether the rest of you are. It's just circumstances that I am. But I wish there was some way that I could convey the sense of fear and angst and lack of benefit to our community. Everybody's in favor of taking out real criminals, and we should, and everybody supports that, but not falling off people who've been here 30 years, who are hardworking, who contribute taxes, who contribute to the community. And that's unfortunately what's happening. Thank you for
Thank
listening.
you.
I appreciate you listening.
And I don't think anyone disagrees. District 3.
Thank you. Let's see, a couple things. So I was invited to speak at Sunset Ridge Neighborhood Association and Mango Groves Association. I do want to make it clear that I'm not speaking for or against anything. I'm speaking with informational purposes only. Just trying to make sure that everyone who's voting is voting with an understanding of what they're voting on. The next meeting that I've been invited to is College Park, and that's on March 2nd at 6:30 at Irish Brigade. The street painting festival, and I wish that Stuart hadn't left because I want to give, it went perfectly. I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank the staff. I want to thank the volunteers. I want to thank the local businesses. I want to thank residents, not only for attending, but for welcoming so many people into our city. Everybody who had come in from out of town was so welcoming or so excited to be here. And I really think that a nice light was shown on our city this weekend. And I thought, one of the things that one of the media outlets reported was that it is the biggest art festival in Palm Beach County. And that's ours. And we can claim that and we can celebrate that, because we've been talking about, our brand. What is our brand? The idea of the art capital of Palm Beach County. And, that this weekend really showcased that. Let's see, I do want to have an update sooner than later on the park rangers. I know that our leisure services department had been working on the job descriptions. They had started interviewing. They had started to get the program together and were kind of told stop because the sheriffs might do it. But we haven't heard anything from the sheriffs. At least I haven't. So I'd like to get an update on that, maybe at our next one-on-ones to see where we are on that. And if the sheriffs aren't able to provide the service, that we talk about going forward with our own leisure services department. I think that, we allocated $500,000 for this fiscal year, which is almost over.
Right.
So we should discuss that. And I think if we can get an update on that from the city manager's office, and then we can discuss whether or not we need to bring it back to discuss here at a commission meeting, that would be important. I do agree with the other commissioners about business friendly. And we need to look at the ordinances that we have in place, the procedures we have in place to make sure that wherever the bottleneck is that we're addressing it. And this honestly has to come from staff because we don't know.
Right.
So I'm asking directors and city manager to ask directors to find out where that bottleneck is and see if there's anything legislatively that we can do, procedurally that we can do. I mean, we don't do day to day. If there needs to be an ordinance change or there needs to be direction or there needs to be, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, we need to do it. But I do want to, I did talk to the assistant director today of code, Miss Bryant, and she did let me know that, over the weekend, that the code was down in the street painting festival, and her words were, if there's anything that has to do with ADA access, make sure that you talk to the business owners, don't cite them, but talk to them so that they know. And that, in other words, and anything else that you see, like a sign blocking, just move the sign and move on, because this is the street painting festival. And if there was something that is just there for that day, just make them aware and move on. So I don't know that there's an attack on downtown businesses, but I always want to hear both sides. So I called her. And if I'm wrong and business owners are listening and there's something I need to know, please feel free to call me. And the last one is the immigration thing. And I was listening to Mr. McVoy, and you were talking about specifically Florida Highway Patrol. And when we talked to Mr. Kerner up in Tallahassee, we sat with him for about an hour and a half. We told him the stories that we were hearing, that people were getting, that we were being told that people were being racially profiled. They were being pulled over. They were being, the things that we've been told. And he gave us his cell phone number, said, if you have the name of somebody that's happened to, please call me right away. So if or any citizen knows of a situation where there's a resident of Lake Worth Beach that's been treated unfairly or has been arrested without cause, or there's any problem with that, let us know who it is so we can help them. But a general, everyone's getting kidnapped is really tough to do. But if there are specific names of specific people that we can investigate, and we can say to the director of Florida Highway Patrol, hey, this could be an incident you want to look at. He said he will look at it. Now, we do that with some skepticism, but I wanted to just share what we were told as policymakers when we went up to talk to the director of Florida Highway Patrol. So that is an option. Whether people take it or not is up to them, but I wanted to put that out there. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Malega.
Okay, I'm going to start with some good news. Congratulations to the Lake Worth Beach CRA. They have been allocated $850,000 from the federal government. Lois Frankel's office
Thank you,
contacted them.
Lois.
So I'm very excited about that for housing. Continuing to make Lake Worth Beach still the #1 place for affordable housing and affordable home ownership. So I'm super excited for the CRA. I attended the Business Advisory Board meeting, as did the mayor, and Jamie was out of town, but Troy was there and got some feedback from them. And I'm sitting here listening to everybody talk about the businesses downtown. There was one business owner there, and it's not because the Business Advisory Board's not out knocking on doors. And
What?
one business owner.
And she was from out of town.
And she was from out of the city of Lake Worth Beach. So it's not that we are not, and trust me, the people who are on the Business Advisory Board are out knocking on doors and inviting them, and they have a database of emails that they're sending out. And we talked about on the bottom of the newsletter that that residents are signed up for, keeping a banner at the bottom of that newsletter that comes to your email that says, hey, businesses, did you know there's a Business Advisory Board contact information? So they're out knocking on doors. And as somebody who's had a business downtown for a very long time, to get other businesses to come out and clean their alleyway and to be responsive and to take ownership is like pulling teeth. And I'm not pointing a finger, but there is blatant disrespect. And I think I told you guys at the VIP party for the artist gallery, there was one business owner that had a sandwich board in the middle of the walkway when it was already set up for Street Painting Festival. I closed it and leaned it up against their closed door. Their business was closed, and yet they're taking up ADA walking paths. So there are some business owners in town who do not care. And they're not the ones who have been here for a long time, right? They're the ones who have come here. They've set up their makeshift shops, and that's what I'm going to call it. And they're not adhering to sign ordinances. They're not adhering to hours of operation on their business. So there is two sides to every coin. And I have a business in our neighboring city. And during season, we often park behind our building because our parking lot gets filled because of classes. So my staff parks behind the building. Month and a half ago, their code came through and wrote 3 parking tickets at $150 each. There's a no parking sign at one end of the street and the other end. And the code officer told my sister, it's implied that there's no parking in between. My sister said, well, that's our property. She goes, well, that's a code violation. So which do you want, the code violation or the
my
parking
God.
ticket? Not business friendly at all.
Wow.
I didn't call up the mayor or one of the commissioners who works out in my gym. I just said, you know what? Hard lesson learned. It's a tax write-off. Pay the ticket. $450 that we wrote out of our business because you know what? I'm not going to argue. It's their city, their rules. That's heavy-handed, not a warning, not, hey, come in the front door. There's cars parked out there. Did you know that you can't do that? Could you please move them? They're 2 square miles. When they come after you, there is no forgiveness. So we may be a little heavy-handed in certain situations if we've asked a business 10 or 15 times to do something and they're not doing it, it's easy to place blame. Okay. So just always keep mindset that there's 2 different sides of the coin. Thank you to staff again for a successful street painting festival. Thank you for an amazing first inaugural artist VIP welcome reception. A lot of the artists were super excited to
Lovely.
have that. Thank you to every artist
Yeah.
who, you know, that's hard on their bodies. Let's not even talk about the flight, the coming here. Like they're on the concrete for 2 straight days making beautiful art that brings people to our city. So thank you to the artist. Legislation. Were you guys on the call on Monday? This legislation is just, it's awful. I'm hoping that one day I can come here and give great news, but I'm not there yet. A lot of these bad bills are still moving through. And unfortunately, you know, you heard the gentleman say he's concerned about property tax. I'm concerned about property tax as well. I'm not talking about the referendums if only people are calling and asking me, which, you know, I will give them my personal and professional opinion. But just like I mentioned with Julie from Compass, some of these referendum questions are for the benefit of our nonprofits who are in our buildings and who previously, and they're running out of funding. And if some of these DEI bills are being passed, guess who's going to be affected? And we're talking no sponsored festivals for Finnish, Guatemalan, Hispanic, LGBTQ. The city cannot back or support any of that if this DEI bill passes. So these are things that we need to keep an eye on and things that are going to, unfortunately, you know, innately affect a lot of our non-for-profits in our city as well as us financially. So the good news is hopefully legislation will be done before we start our budget. So we at least know what to plan for. And I think they're going to end up calling a special session as well. So
Sounds
good and bad news.
Yeah. Mr. McVoy, you did have your chance.
Yeah, I did 2 real short things. One, I sent it to the city manager today. I don't know whether he had a chance. It was late in the day, I think. When I was at the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, one of the commission members from, I want to say the city of Sebastian, and I think he mentioned that a couple other cities, Vero Beach and one that Indian River maybe, they all decided that they would start doing, as city staff, I don't know if the elected officials were involved or not, but I sent the information. I asked them to send some. They started doing informational meetings for their community about property taxes. And the reason they did it now is they were aware that once there is a referendum on the books, then the cities can't say anything. The elected officials probably still can, I think, but the staff can't. So they're doing them now, which is why I asked for the information of what they're doing. Figure we don't have to reinvent the wheel and sent that to city manager. So you should have that, you know, soon. And the other is totally unrelated to that is the reason I won't be here on Thursday is that I had a long scheduled, I'm giving a talk on Everglades restoration at 25 years, what still needs to be done and why. And that was scheduled a long time ago. There was some confusion. So unfortunately, the budget meeting got scheduled at the same time.
Thank you. Okay, I have a few
Thank you.
things. First, I want to ask permission of the council. The nest item, which is the next planting phase 3 of the Bryant Park nest, has been through all the boards, has been through the tree board. And I've been asked to add it, if we could add it to the 3-4 meeting for approval. Mr. Brown, is that something we can do? March
3, I think.
3, whatever day that is.
Are we talking about the regular commission meeting or the special meeting? Which
What-
one would you?
I think we're talking about the special meeting, the open space master plan meeting, which is the 3rd.
Okay, if that's the direction. We can
Okay, I mean,
definitely have
it's-
that.
The email was sent around. This is around the nest. Any problems with adding it?
I have no problem with that.
Okay, Mr.
Seems
Segridge?
reasonable.
I guess, I would rather just add it in the normal course versus an emergency addition to the agenda that we already have out.
So you mean add it to the next meeting that it would?
A next available, depending on our other list of priorities. So I'm not sure just how time sensitive it is.
Oh, well, I think the staff could,
Okay,
I,
thank you.
I
They are
believe-
asking, yeah, Gail Silverbutt did email me and they have lining up to, go forward with this. I mean, it's,
We haven't approved anything
Yeah,
yet.
but their schedule isn't relevant.
well,
Yeah.
Well, not
which they're asking for some consideration. That's
But-
all. Either
but-
say
no,
no or
no.
yes, that's.
Well, no, I mean, that's not a fair characterization. My objection to it is that we've had stuff that we're waiting almost a year to come back before this commission, and it still isn't on our schedule. To me, I'm a big supporter of this. I have some changes that I would like to see in terms of the design on it and the choice of trees and so on. But there are other things that I would very much rather see that have, to me, more of a critical nature than that. So I would like it to go in order with the rest of our priorities. And to me, it doesn't take priority over some of the more infrastructure and city and ordinance related.
Well, I don't know if
items.
we need to hold it up. I mean, it's pretty ready to go. They've been through all they've done everything. I mean, if you want to add it to a regular meeting, fine, but I mean, they've been through all their,
Well, I understand they've been through all the boards, but what I want to avoid is another issue like we have with the downtown trees. So, I'm a little bit skeptical about that process because it did not yield good results with our downtown.
well, okay, says, that's your opinion. And, so what does everyone do?
I'm a no on putting it
Okay,
on
Ms. May?
that meeting.
I'm a no.
And could I add a piece of information? Because my understanding is that actually the request, the tree board meeting was on a Thursday, which I'm guessing would be the 12th. The Nest folks brought it to the tree board, got unanimous approval, and then sent it to Stu Sword, and which should have been in time for the deadline. And I don't know, and I don't think they understand why it didn't actually get added. So I think they did in fact follow, to my understanding, the timing to add it as a regular one. For some reason, it didn't get on that I don't have the answer to, and I don't think they do either. But because it didn't, they are now asking, hey, can we put this on? Because there is some schedule for them. I don't think we need to take a lot of time on it. It's already been reviewed. I hear the concern about the Dahoon Hollies and so on, but that was not, didn't go through Nest.
Well, can we put it on the next agenda then, the next regular agenda?
I would still ask for the third because I
I-
think they did in fact follow the
Lady?
right procedure.
I would like to add it to the, whatever the one after the third is.
17th, I think.
Yeah.
it is. Okay. All right, so I think we have our answer. We'll add it to the 17th. Okay, the Lantana, there is an issue, a lot of issues with Lantana Airport and jets and that sort of thing. And there's been a committee formed in the Palm Beach League. And I was asked by the mayor of the Clark Shores, who's very active in this, because it affects them so directly and it affects us very directly. If we could have a member that he asked me to be on the board, but I thought, well, I don't have to do everything. And I thought Mr. Segrich would be a person that would be, appropriate for this. And I asked him to sit in a meeting this morning. Did you do that? Okay. So I would ask, whether we do it tonight or we do it at the next meeting to appoint Mr. Segrich to the Lantana Airport Issue Committee.
The official name.
Are you in?
No, I don't know what it is. It's,
Yes, that's fine with me.
okay, Ms. Leila?
Yeah, I'm fine. They had asked me to be on it last year and I don't have time in my schedule. I do know that Hank Posky is very involved and he's a.
Yeah, of
Mercerville
course, yeah.
resident.
So we have agreement, Mr.
Yeah, and
Sir?
I'm willing to do it. I'm not sure just how much it was a very technical discussion. It was hard for me to keep up.
You'll get it.
I learned a
You'll
lot
get it.
in a very
So I figured
short
you were a
amount of
good guy
time,
to
but
do.
I know it does affect us in certain areas. And so, at least being there for informational purposes, I think is good. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, on the TPA, my understanding, and I could be wrong, but my understanding is that I think Mr. McBoy, you're on the TPA?
It's now.
The Metropolitan Plan, MPA. That
MPO.
we have an opportunity to have a Lake Worth citizen on that citizen committee. It's been empty for 11 months. Well, could we have somebody on, could you bring within a month, bring some to?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why it's taken almost a year to do
Well,
that.
we're getting ready to do the advisory board. Why don't we
The-
put that on the advisory board appointment
Mhm.
and have people apply for it?
I
That isn't
think
how it works.
it's, I think
the-
it's, he has to do it.
I have to.
And I really don't know why we have not had a citizen representative for 11 months.
That's great.
So if you'll bring that back to, you'll bring someone back to the next meeting? Okay. On Friday morning, I think it was, I spoke, it was interesting, it was the Palm Beach, Broward and Indian River County Realtor Associations. And there was a panel of 8 mayors and it was kind of a big deal. There were a few hundred people there at a new hotel up on Singer Island, very fancy. And it was very interesting because there were a series of questions that we all got asked the same question and we got to promote, what's good about our city, what are challenges of our city. Everybody's freaking out about the property tax issue. That's a universal concern. But it was really good for opportunity to highlight the city and to see what sort of one of the universal concerns that we all have is how long it takes to get a plan approved, permitting, that sort of thing. So that's real. Everybody said we've got to get better on that. So it was great to be able to represent the city and show off a little bit. Miss Malega and I were up in Ocala at a Florida Mayor's League regarding handling crises, emergencies, that sort of thing. It was good thing. We learned a lot. I found out that I'm proud that I was named Politician of the Year in Palm Beach County by Out Magazine. Best politician in Palm Beach County, Out. So the gay newspaper and magazine, and I'm proud of that. And I thank them for that. Yeah, communication with staff. We're talking about, I too often hear, I didn't get a phone call back. I mean, that's just really a consistent problem. And we just need, if you're going to have a meeting about that, that's like, to me, number one, just even if you don't have the right answer, like with my clients, I may not have the right answer, but at least I acknowledged you and I called you back. So I would like to see a little more attention brought to that. The legislation is a nightmare. It's crazy. They would rather have they would rather have 39 counties than all these little cities because we're annoying. Electric bikes are an issue that are coming up. There is a commissioner in Boca Raton who has done a lot of research about it and did a presentation to the board of the Palm Beach League of Cities. And I'd like to have him come up and give his presentation to us when he can well, presentations are what, the first meeting now, to see if we could come up maybe for April 1st to give that presentation. I don't know what their schedule is for meetings, but I think that it's something that we do need to address. It's getting a little out of control.
I consent, and we already have that on our list as a voting item as well. So.
Right, and yeah, I just would be helpful to have a little more information.
Yeah, I would consent to that.
Okay.
I almost got ran over by one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm in. Okay, thank you. I will give him a call.
The only comment I would make on it is the same comment that I made at the Metropolitan Planning Organization, where electric bikes also occupied quite a bit of discussion last Friday, I think, recently anyhow. And the only comment I would make is make sure that as we have those discussions, that we remember 2 things. One, that there is and we as a city are signed on both to Vision Zero, which is 0 deaths and 0 serious accident fatalities, and Complete Streets. We're signed on to both of those. And the goal related to both is to accommodate multimodal transportation, including electric vehicles. And
it's kind of my time. I'm giving.
Part 2 of that is make sure that as we do think about electric bikes, that at least some of the people involved are people who actually use them regularly.
Well, okay, this is going to be a presentation by, and
Does that person use them?
Mr. McVoy, thank you.
That's my request.
Okay. The finish the Midnight Sun Festival is this weekend, this Saturday, starting at noon, and it's always a very festive Finnish festival. At 10, it's a busy Saturday. At 10:30 on Saturday, starting here at City Hall, there's a historic tour, which was so successful a couple of weeks ago, they had to repeat it. So because of everything else going on, I don't know if I'd be able to do it, but I encourage you to go there if you want to do that. Can't say enough about street painting, just flawless, beautiful. The weather was perfect.
Yep.
The people were lovely. It is just I want to thank the people that originated it, and I want to thank the people that the volunteers that carried it for the past, I think, 29 years. And then the staff and then the Sunfest people, they did an outstanding job. And what a great party. It's really just a great party. I think that's all I have right now. Mr. Brown.
Yeah, no, staff was also pretty excited about how street painting went as well. As we do each year, we'll do an after action report and positives, negatives, opportunities for improvement, all that other stuff, and bring that back to all you guys. And last year, Tiana kind of gave an updated report and all the data from that. So not happening in this year. Previously, the vice mayor mentioned the CPF, the community project funding that we submit to Lois Frankel's office, Congresswoman Frankel's office each year. City does our own, CRA does theirs. We submitted for 1.9 million under the Department of Homeland Security, the DHS funding. That is still pending because of some other defense things going on right now. It's all pending for that. Obviously, what Joan put in for, which is what they got awarded already, that's already gone through. They've already been selected. We did get an email from the Congresswoman's office recently just letting us know the update that it's still pending. There's still an opportunity. There's no guarantee we're going to get it, but hopefully we'll know soon within the next few months if we're going to be awarded that or not. It looks like us, Green Acres, and there was one other, I think, that put in for the EOC. It looks like it was like 1,063,000. I can't remember the exact. It was just over $1 million. Even though we asked for 1.9, it's usually about half of that. So that would definitely be helpful. Since that EOC is part of the new Public Works fleet facility and Public Works admin. Other than that, I see that after you guys brought it up with the park rangers, Commissioner May, Troy already forwarded what he had sent out, I think 2 weeks ago, that update, and he's going to get an update again from PBS. But he did send out an update 2 weeks ago on where PBS currently is with that. Other than that, that's all I got for it.
Thank you. Madam Attorney.
Good evening. I just wanted to make sure that you all were aware the lawsuit we discussed a few weeks ago has actually been served on the city. So we have that's been assigned outside counsel, and we were on it. And I wasn't sure if I had given you an update on the nuisance abatement cases that we're working with PBSO on, but those cases have been initiated. Notices have gone out, I think, to 9 properties.
Great.
And so those are in progress.
Thank you very much.
Can you please email us those property lists?
Sure.
Yeah,
Thank
that'd
you.
be helpful. Yeah, it's good because then we can tell the people that ask us what's going on. Thank you very much. All right. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
By Commissioner May, second by Mr. McVoy. All in favor?